The next speaker is Pierre Laurendeau. He is an old pal of mine from Montreal, senior executive at Astral Media. He's the program head of a number of their more mature and intelligent channels, and he wants to make a response to the presentation by John Ralston Saul. Jean-Pierre Laurendeau.
So first, I want to thank Moses to allow me to do that, and if I do what I do today, running a television station, I owe you to you, Moses. So thank you very much. So running a television station is a very complicated business, as you might imagine. And one of the complicated things we do is that we have plenty of regulation that we have to obey, we are encouraged very strongly by the CRTC to make an opening to minorities and to socio-ethnic group, and this is fine, and I'm happy that they asked that for us, and happy to comply. And so in that work with the minority, I was introduced to the Native community. And we commissioned a lot of, first we commissioned a series of short documentaries done by the young people. And in fact, Robin here worked with the Wapikoni Mobile. Wapikoni Mobile is a Winnebago, basically, that goes in the reserve. And the young Native can produce their short documentary, reportage, films about themselves. And then at Canal D, we broadcasted those films through a race around Quebec, around the Grande Tortue, the big turtle, which is Quebec for the natives. And they described us, the rest, the mainstream Francophone society, and criticized. And it was a very interesting program to do and to broadcast. And meeting all those natives, I was introduced to individual. And so last summer, I decided to go on a reservation for a holiday. So I went in Wendake, which is in the suburb of Quebec City. It's like going to Scarborough, basically. It's not that far. And when you arrive in Wendake, you don't realize it immediately. And because there's no real difference, and it's a prosperous reservation. There's not all the usual problem that you hear about at Wendake. And I met Daniel Picard, a young producer, who told me, if you come in Wendake, well, call me. So I called Daniel and had a great dinner with him. And he told me, so I'm now commissioning a film with Daniel as the main character, and where we are going to document the hunting season in Wendake. Because the Wendat people, who are in fact the Huron, the Huron was the name that was given to them by the French. And Huron, they gave that name because they had the hairstyle that today we name the Mohawk. So they had, and that resembled the wild boar Hure, in French. So that's why they were called the Huron, but in fact they're the Wendat. So I went there and did all the tourist things, and it's very industrious. They have a great setting for tourists to explain their culture and the natives' culture of America, and tons of loads of bus, French tourists from France who come there to see the Indians. So and I bought a book there by Georges Sioui and read it all, and I was really amazed to see that the real story of the Huron. The Huron are the descendant of 475 Christianized Hurons, because the Hurons were at war with the Mohawk in around 1675. They were beaten, and they had two choices: leave or integrate with the Mohawk. So most of them integrated with the Mohawk, and those 475 Christianized Hurons asked the protection of the French. And those are the descendants of those Hurons in Quebec City. And so the Huron chief, not chef, it was not a restaurant. chief, was part of the social elite of Quebec at the time of the colony, and was invited by the governor. And in 1795, le Baron de La Hontan came to visit the New World. And I had lengthy discussion with Adario, the Huron chief then. And Adario criticized a lot the French society because it was unequal, the way they treated women. And La Hontan was really surprised to see that you could not figure out who was the chief, the way he was dressed, or by the house he was living in, because it was equality. And to me, when I read that, it struck me that those values were really the values of Quebec. We talk a lot about the Quebec value nowadays, and in fact, they're natives' value. They're the Huron values. And La Hontan wrote a book. It was widely published in Europe. And Georges Sioui, a Huron scholar, says that La Hontan was not really quoted, but widely pirated. By whom? Well, by the philosopher of the Lumière, like Jean-Jacques Rousseau and those people, the good savage, and what led to the Declaration of the Droits de l'Homme, all those ideas finally were American natives' idea. I mean, idea from the First Nations, and to me that was a big realization. So I said to myself, well, Canada is, and that's the idea. I'm getting to the idea. Canada is a constitutional monarchy, and I like the monarchy because it provides continuity in time of crisis, and it served well Canada and Quebec, I think, for more than close to a couple hundred years. So I don't want to change that. I think it's a good system. But so I think that, but we are a royalty with no nobility. There's no noble. There's not a Marquis of Toronto or a Count of Montreal. That doesn't exist. So I thought, well. And there's all those land claim and everything. So why don't we make our nobility all the natives people, the First Nation? They could be our noble, the owner of the land, and we would be their subject, basically. And it already cost us billions of dollars per year in subsidy to the natives people. So it would be a more elegant way, and I think a more just way to do it. And also the ideology of the natives that is very close to respect of the land, be part of the circle, all what John Saul talked about, is have a better future than what we brought in here, industrialization to excess, and all the problem of pollution we have. So I think we should do that. And then the Governor General of Canada should always be a native. It could move from region to region, and I think it would be a nice way to solve all the land claim, and it would put the two pillars, the French and the English, in their place under the governance of the native people. And that's my idea I wanted to share with you.
Thank you, Moses. C'est bien fait. Merci.